let's talk about Robin Hood.
The greatest movie of the year.
Robin Hood, honestly, I think may have been my favorite cinema going experience of the entire year. It's that and Rampage are like up there as the best terrible
Skyscraper
movies.
comes to a crashing bottom.
Skyscraper was terrible. This was terrible in the most amazing. It was everything I could have hoped it would be. It was so horrendous.
There's a guy called Friar Tuck.
Okay, we need to explain that real quick. This is not the main reason why it's amazing, but
it's definitely helping.
some of you may have noticed, I think I leave it in sometimes, we call each other Tuck or Tuckers as a nickname. It's an inside joke that would take far too long to explain, so we won't.
Yeah, but when we heard in the confessional stand,
Tuck!
we
It's
looked
very weird.
We looked at each other and died.
Just disintegrated. No, but Robin Hood, I think this is a movie where nothing works. It is...
Well, I think
Taron's okay.
I think the action's alright as well. Like, some of it.
Some of it was okay. Some of it is bizarrely... They use bow and arrows like machine guns.
Yeah, okay, that action
What
is
was
terrible.
that Call of Duty opening sequence? Little John gets his hand chopped off.
Oh my god, I was so surprised. When that happened, we looked at each other like, but Little John!
I mean, fair game. Because I was like, I feel like I remember in the trailer him doing some two-handed things. Just strangles Taron. But also, Jamie Foxx, who I like as an actor, he is...
and love as a friend.
He is horrendous in this film. This is, I think, and I haven't seen a lot of his... Like, I feel like there might be some worse ones. But I think he's a great actor who sometimes half-asses his performances. So, like...
Just for the paycheck?
Yeah, so when he's, like, in Django and Baby Driver, he, like, really puts in,
Yeah.
does what he can.
What the f*** is this man?
But then here, this is one of the worst performances in the entire year. He is god-awful. And he has an emotional moment where...
Salim!
his son is killed at the start. And then the romance. The actual opening scene is... Maid Marian breaks into Robin Hood's horse stall. It sounds just bizarre.
Is that a euphemism?
And then, first of all, like the opening shot, I'm sure it isn't the opening shot, but one of the first shots is just like
the first thing you see of her is just her cleavage.
It's just cleavage. It's like,
and why is there cleavage in her thief suit?
but like that is, I just thought it was funny that you see that far before her face, like way more. And then Robin shows up and like she's like, "Hey, I'm stealing your horse," and he's like, "All right, but will you go on a date with me?" And then she's like, "Yeah, sure." And then they like are in love for 4 years.
It's dumb.
And then Jamie Dornan
and then
slides in.
Mr. Grey comes in.
And then the best shot, actually no, there's a far better shot later, but one of my favorite things is Muggsy comes back from war and sees Jamie Dornan has taken his woman, and his reaction face is the best thing ever. It's just like this weird constipated hatred.
Don't ever say it seems that Jamie Dornan has taken his woman.
Also, the worst, most sequel-baity ending I've ever seen. Fucking Jamie Dornan gets cavilled, and then...
Why did he get cavilled?
He becomes the Sheriff of Nottingham. Because they didn't really set that up. I thought it seemed like they were setting it up for... He's kind of reluctant, but he'll join Robin, but he's kind of like in the middle, like almost an interesting character, kind of. But it turns out...
realize it's Jamie Dornan.
It turns out he's just like a cartoonish villain, and he becomes the real Sheriff of Nottingham at the end. So they can make a sequel. For the record, though, I would love to see a sequel to this.
Me too.
I would die to see a sequel to... Also, there's so many great... We need to do a commentary one day, but it's this weird, like, kind of Batman ripoff, but also everyone can see him and Little John's face. There's a part where he Okay, some of the stealing scenes I did enjoy. Like, there were some cool shots, I guess.
Yeah.
But there's a part where... He jumps out the window.
Oh, wait, just before you say that, he jumps from great heights and doesn't break anything.
He gets shot in the lung like 3 times in this film and never feels any damage from it.
They never hit any vital organs.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure in the next pod where we do the year in review, we have the best it didn't hit any vital organs award, and this would definitely be a contender for that. But he jumps out of a window at one point and lands on Lil Jon's truck.
Again, a very sexual euphemism. He jumps out of a window and lands on Little John's truck.
He lands on his, like, horse cart. That doesn't sound better. And then Little John drives away through, like, the streets of Nottingham. And the thing is, first of all, Muggsy's mask isn't on, and he's a very, like, well-known public official. Even if it was on, Little John has nothing on his face. No one identifies him. He's just walking around in, like, the church when all the bad guys there, and no one's like, hey, it's that guy who rode away with the thief that one time. Also, everyone dresses like it's 2018.
It's very weird.
Like, fucking, what's his name? Ready Player One, the bad guy from that, the sheriff in this one. He has, like, a three-piece suit on.
I know.
And, like, also, I think this has... Previously, my favorite shot in all of cinema of this year was George lifting his middle finger at the end of Rampage. As you know very well.
Oh, yes.
A shot you're fond of.
You will not... You will not stop talking about George and his middle finger.
But then in this one, I think there's a shot that rivals that, which is my favorite thing ever, where they brutally execute the Sheriff of Nottingham.
Oh yeah, by hanging him.
I think they're in a church or something.
They're in the church, yeah.
And then Little John shows up out of nowhere. The one-handed Little John. He ties a noose to his neck or something, and then
not to his own neck, to...
Then Robin is like, you're not the sheriff anymore, you dickhead, and then he shoots the rope, and then he gets hung. And then the, like, epic, heroic, like, hero shot with the triumphant music is him and Little John walking away and, like, smiling, and then just in the background, you see a corpse dangling, and this is actually a very violent film. Like, he kills a lot of people.
He does.
Like, and just, like, innocent guards who are probably just doing their job. Good on you, Taron.
You did good, Taron.
We've talked about the relationship, but they have no chemistry at all. If there was one performance that I think was genuinely alright, it was Friar Tuck. Like, he was fine. He was pretty okay.
Of course you think it's Friar Tuck.
Also, there's, like, the whole conspiracy about how the sheriff and also the cardinal or something?
I think it's the cardinal
They're
or the
paying
Pope.
It's definitely not the Pope. They're funding the Arabians.
They're funding Little John.
And the thing is also, Marion and Friar Tuck have their own separate scheme to, like, uncover this, but also she doesn't tell Jamie Dornan, even though he's on their side, but then he wouldn't approve of their methods. But then she shows him anyway. She's like, check it out, they're funding the Arabians, and he's like, yeah, you shouldn't have shown me this, because I'm gonna do this. And then Robin Hood shows up, and he's like, hey, I'm Muggsy the Hood. Muggsy the Hood. What's he called? Muggsy of Locksley or whatever. Also, there's this terrible scene where he has to get in good with the Sheriff of Nottingham, and then the sheriff, like, confesses his most deep childhood trauma to Muggsy.
Yeah,
just so he can have, like, a one-liner later. It was like, hey, I'm gonna beat you with a broomstick or whatever happened. But yeah, it's like you just met him.
Also, I don't understand why Muggsy had to up Tuck's career.
I don't either. He was like, that's the only way I could get you out of there. I was like, hey, how about you just sneak him out of there? Or say, like, hey, someone else took your keys.
Yeah.
Like, okay, maybe we missed something, but also
I doubt it. We were very focused on Tuck.
There's this chase scene where, like, a pot of gold empties over, like, their horses or whatever, where it turns into the Fast and Furious briefly with horses.
Oh.
And Little John has, like, a stare down.
Molten lead thing where
Oh, God. Anyway, I think we've about covered it. Go see it.
We love it.
It is incredible. It's one of my favorite movies of all time because it is the worst thing I've ever seen.